jokes and you're insightful, but are you likable? You got jokes, you're the host, stand up. Are you likable?
Hello and welcome to Likable, a show where we discuss stand-up comedy from an entry-level perspective. Today, I am joined by Lynn Harris of Gold Comedy. How are you today?
I am feeling great today. I know there's been some political news that some of us would consider cheerful, and that's all very interesting. But I also just learned they're making a Miss Piggy movie, so I don't even know where to start. There's champagne flowing. It's a big day. It's a big day for lots of us all around.
It's a big day, for context, it's November 5th.
Yeah, I
And
know. I did. We have to be careful with that. I know.
that's when the world found out that there was going to be a Miss Piggy movie, and we're excited about this. This is great news. In
I
times
got
like
so
these,
excited that Zoom even raised my hand. Did you notice that? It looked like I don't know. Now I can't do it again. It did it automatically, but
I
now I
think you can
can't
do it
anyway.
slowly. Oh, hold on, I don't even know how to put it in. You
Ooh,
are
there
about
we
to
go.
raise your hand.
Yep.
Not now.
There it goes. But what I really meant was like, yes. And yeah.
Touchdown. That's cool. Lynn, I had to look up your credits here because this is we have never met before. We've never met before. We found each other through the internet.
Yep.
And I've got some credits through a Wikipedia page. Do you care if I read them?
No, it's so funny though. It sounds like these people have never met. It sounds like we're about to be on some sort of like game show challenge, but soon they will show their psychic abilities or something.
They're
But
gonna
yeah,
be
no, go
locked in
for
a virtual room where they fight
that's
to
right.
death.
That's right. That's right. So yeah,
Uh,
maybe my Wikipedia will help your listeners predict who will live and who will die.
100% you would beat me in a mental thing. I present as very intelligent, but I'm quite dumb. It's it's amazing I figured out how to use the computer. But yeah, so you are the founder of Comedy Gold, right? And then
Gold comedy.
Gold Comedy. Sorry,
Yeah.
Gold
Hear
Comedy.
this.
Yes. Oh yes,
Boop,
yes. This
boop,
logo.
boop.
See, I told you I can't even read. This is pretty bad.
Listen. We're all just exhausted. It's fine. It's
Uh,
fine.
and you've been published in the New York Times, Washington Post. You've also done some pieces for dating advice on MSN.com, as well as you've contributed as a writer to Salon.com and Glamour Magazine, is what I found.
All true. All true. I did
True.
stand up for a long time also, which is partly why I'm here.
Heck yeah.
And yeah, and I was fortunate enough. I was a journalist for a long time, and I was fortunate enough to have the chance to work at it long enough to develop really what was kind of my brand, my jam, my beat, my area, which was to, when it was appropriate, when I had the opportunity to take on issues that are like not at all funny, using humor in an appropriate way to kind of be a delivery system for thorny topics and difficult conversations. So I worked at it a long time to figure out like, well, how can I make that work best? It's not just like, let's make jokes about bad things. It's more like, how will humor actually actually support understanding or forward an argument or make people think in a
Mhm.
way that doesn't feel like they're, shamed, scolded, challenged, made to think too hard.
Totally. I maybe different from what you were just describing. I was just in Boston last week, and I talked about my parents being separated for a little bit and my experience
Mm,
as an 8-year-old,
hmm
which was a sad event that I tried to
Yeah.
make fun of. And then feedback from a younger person at the mic, or not at the mic, at the show. They were like, he just kind of trauma dumped on us.
Oh no.
I'm just like, yeah, I actually kind of did. That's for me.
Well, I know, but listen, in your defense, you said it happened when you were 8, so there's no way that this was too soon.
Yeah, fair. It did the hand thing again.
Yeah, I know it did that. I gotta keep my hands to myself. Okay. Yeah.
Very powerful. So what kind of topics do you like to discuss when you're on stage? You said some controversial things that you're trying to bring light to, make make them funny or silly. Are we just doing 9/11 jokes, or like what's
Well, I'm old enough to remember how stand-ups reacted at that time because I was doing stand-up at that time. So for context, I did stand-up for about a decade, and I've been working in and around comedy for 30 or more years. And I know I look amazing, right? And it's all the Zoom filters. And so what the sort of the big picture that I'm working on now in terms of like the social justice slash politics slash making a difference piece is less about the content that I create or the commentary that I make, although I still do that, and more about what my company aims to do. And so we're called Gold Comedy, and we're the comedy school and professional network and content studio where women and non-binary creators and others, and even some straight white dudes come to build their comedy careers and join a powerful professional network and make funny stuff that actually gets seen on all kinds of stages and screens. And the simplest way to say it is that we put women and what I call others first, but everyone's welcome, because at the end of the day, what everyone is sort of trying to escape so that they can really focus on putting their best energy into growing as comics is just the bro vibe, like whoever it comes from, wherever it comes from. It was certainly present when I was doing stand-up in the 90s. It's so much better now, but it's still a barrier or at best, at least an annoyance when you're starting out, even if you're a dude, and so, comedy is hard for everyone. And we just try to make it easier for the people for whom it's the hardest, because, it matters because women are people. It matters because comedy is a job. It's actually makes things better for white dudes also, because you do better. I don't mean but you do better if everyone in the lineup doesn't look like you either, because then it's all a blur, right? You also don't want to be on a lineup of all white dudes, right? Because it's just not as funny, and people remember you better. Like this is so it's so we it matters. It matters because it also matters because comedy is a cultural force, right? That helps people process the news, and it helps define culture. And so it also matters like who makes comedy, whether it's on a stage or behind the scenes. So we're trying to both help make it easier for individuals and more fun for individuals and accelerate their careers. But then also, all told, I believe, and so does my team, that if we can help comedy be more diverse and inclusive, it's better for comedy, it's better for comics, and it's better for the world. So that's sort of where I put my energy. It's less around what I'm individually doing when I tell jokes, because I don't get to do it so often anymore, and more about what can we all create together that will just make comedy in the world a better place.
Very cool. I dig it. That's awesome. When I'm producing a show, I produce a few shows. We try to have, I think a big part of my thought process of like having people on a lineup is to make sure that like my crowd isn't going to be just straight white guys. We try to have representation for everybody there,
Right. It's also about it's also being a smart business person, right? Because you're totally right. You hit the nail on the head. It's not just about like being inclusive because it's the right thing to do, although it is for a bunch of reasons. It's also better business,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you're gonna, because two things are true, and this there's like science behind this, and consumer research, that customers, both depending on who they are, like want to see people who look like them, but also want to see people who don't look like them.
Mm-hmm.
So because just what they want. It's more interesting. So you, depending on who you are, you want your identity reinforced, sure. Or you're bored and you want to see people who don't just tell you what you already know.
Yeah.
So you as a producer are being smart, not just because like it's the right thing to have a diverse lineup, but because you're reaching more customers and probably reaching more repeat customers.
Yeah, I think it's just like it's a cool opportunity to um like I think it's neat because like if you are the different person in the room, right? Like I operate mostly out of a small town. It's mostly Caucasian. If you are, the one person of color that comes into the room and you do your bit, like you have the choice when you do your material if you want to do, you know, um more expected humor or unexpected humor, and then you can see how the crowd reacts. But it's your choice at that point, and like the crowd can just receive that, and like it is different from they see me every month,
Mhm.
and it's also just we do often have a lot of straight white guys on our lineup. But I mean, it is for my area, definitely it's like a numbers thing, for sure, because
Sure.
I mean, if I had, like maybe like five people of color on the lineup, like that's all the people of color, you
Yeah,
know?
no, I get it. I
Yeah.
totally get it.
So but it is cool to like just throw something in there that's different, that it's just a completely different perspective on, even if it's the same subject that I just covered that they can cover, it's just like a whole different, I mean, just the, perspective of being a female in comedy is not something I'll ever fully understand. It's a very different, point of view than mine. So it's like it's just really cool to, be able to sit there and listen to the jokes and, hear different takes on dating and different takes on certain political events or different takes on all the other like comedy topics that people talk about. It's pretty neat.
Sure. And you can, I mean, like, and smart producers like yourself can also do that, even if you don't live in the most diverse community in the world, right? Like, I mean, um I don't mean but one can make sure that even a lineup with a bunch of white dudes, you know, come from different perspectives, have different styles. One is
Mhm.
high energy, one is low energy, one is not low energy, but chill. One
Yeah.
is, one I'm making this up, I'm oversimplifying, but like one grew up poor, one, grew up spoiled, like there's all sorts of difference that isn't visible. Whether it's class, family background, all those things that also can make for a more interesting show, even if like on a lineup, you guys might look similar. So you can also, curate in that way if that's what you got to work with.
Totally, and we try to do that. What's
Totally.
what's fun is that like I love different styles of comedy so much, because I typically end up doing like a storytelling style, but I have so much respect for people that can memorize like one-liners or come up with good one-line jokes. I'm like, it's like 30 seconds that joke lasts, and it's so good. Like I have to build so much, and I get a mediocre laugh. I really wish I could do something powerful in 30 seconds.
Oh my gourd. She. I don't. What was that? I don't even know. Um, Listen, I recorded a few of these ahead of time last night, and you know what? They might not be the most accurate depending on what episode they're in, but I just wanted to do this and then have Thanksgiving to enjoy and not worry about pod stuff or shows. And you know what, guys? Could I have waited till after the holidays to put this episode out? Could I have waited to do things appropriately, like a good producer would? Yeah. But you know what I also did? For you to know at home, I also had a free night, so I just did it. You know what I mean? I just fucking did it. Yeah. Are we doing this? Are we really just like recording these ahead of time now? Are we being productive little badasses? Yes, we are. Okay, so I don't know what episode this is going to be on, but hey, we're here. We're doing it. Episode whatever. This is 12-1. I'm going to be at Threes Brewing in Brooklyn. That may have passed already. 12-6. We are the Comfy Clash. That probably hasn't made it that far yet, but hey, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do well. I'm so excited for it because hey, fucking, I'm gonna just do my best out there. I'm gonna go down to New York. I'm gonna go down to the big old city. I do declare, I'm just gonna go down to the big old city and try my best. I'm gonna. Actually, Brooklyn is also the city. So, 2 city shows in a row. Fun stuff. I know Brooklyn kind of doesn't count. And I declare that because I can drive to one of them. And the other one, I just won't bother to drive to. I've wasted too much time. 12-13, we have a don't tell, and I'm not going to tell you about it. 12-27, show in Albany. Very exciting. More details to come. And on 12-31, we are closing out the year at the home club at Laugh It Up with, hey, how you doing, guys? This is David, my man, David. We're going to do it with Cal. Very excited to have that. I think Michael Agumbiade is on that lineup. I'm not sure who else, but it doesn't matter. I'm spending my New Year's with Michael, guys, with Michael. This is like everything I dreamed. What's going to happen with that ball drops? Buy tickets, find out. Please come see us live at no, not Levity. Jesus. I hope I didn't say that earlier because the L just gets me. Come see us live at Laugh It Up. You've seen Louis there. You've seen Chris Rock there. Joe List, Big J Okerson, Tony Hinchcliffe, other guys on Kill Tony, other big names that I'm forgetting, and it's so disrespectful. But you will also see us, Michael Ngumbiade, David Stickle, guys. Are you kidding me? Like, how could you miss that? All right, get back to the show. This was an embarrassing one for me. This take should be redone. But hey, the car is warming up and I have to go squat. So, yeah, back to the show.
You know, it's
Yep.
it's a whole different beast.
Yeah. Well, it would also be cool. I mean, I'm not sure. You run your business the way you want to run your business, of course, but it would also be cool to find out, one thing we do know is that one reason, anecdotally, at least one reason that, for example, and it is super changing, of course, and has changed a lot. But one reason that, for example, like improv was very like white dude dominated for a long time, was totally understandable, which is that dudes do improv. They invite their friends who are dudes to come see them. The dudes are like, oh man, that looks fun. I could do that. And then they do it. So like, it just like that makes sense. That's an okay reason for that to happen. But that's why it'd be kind of an interesting opportunity, to see like, I wonder how many people in your audience are, enjoy your shows, are not seeing themselves in it, and like would love an opportunity and still love them, it's have a great time, but also, since they don't see themselves, they also don't think, well, I could do that as much as they might otherwise. And then I wonder what it would be like do you run mics and stuff like that to like encourage people to like give it a whirl, or give access to classes like at Gold Comedy, for example, which they can access from anywhere because we're mostly online, because just to give people that opportunity, that would help build your own pipeline.
Very subtle plug.
It wasn't subtle at all. I put my face really close to the camera. Yeah.
No, I do think as I've gotten more into the comedy world, I'm understanding the value of classes for sure. And just like things that like I didn't even consider in the early stages, which was like, yeah, I've got a joke, people laugh at it, but could it be better? You know, like that's the and like I don't know how to edit a joke that I love. You know, that's
Mm,
that and that getting somebody else's point of view on something is like, hey, have you thought of this angle? Or, you know, saying it differently this way, it might hit better, you know, like that kind of stuff. And it's like I find as somebody who creates a joke like that, it's so hard to be like, this is my baby, we can't change
I
this,
know.
you know. And it's just like, no, it has to change, like, because it has to be better. You know,
Yeah.
it's so tough. But yeah, we do open mics at least one of the venues, and you know, it is always fun, like especially after a show, to hear people give the comment of like, ah, you know, I've always been curious about this or whatever, and we're like, well, we got an open mic coming up in about 2 weeks, you know. Just, you know, write something and try. But there's also it's a cool scene like around. You're in Brooklyn, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm about 2 hours north.
Mhm.
Rhinebeck, and
Yeah.
yeah, we've got a cool little scene up here with at least a different mic on every night of the week. You know,
That's
so
awesome. That's great.
yeah, it's not just in this town. Like you might have to
Right.
drive an hour, but but you know, it's part of the shtick now. But yeah, if you've got a night off and gas money, you can go and try try stuff out. It's pretty cool.
That's great. And then you really do, I think you really do have the opportunity to, you know, if you can, I mean, again, it's your choice, but like to just kind of figure out, well, okay, how could we really make clear that all, you know, that everyone is, no matter how new you are or whatever, everyone is welcome, because that is how you start, and you got to do it, you know.
Mhm.
Even, I mean, classes are valuable, but you know, mics are required pretty much, you know, when it comes to
Yeah.
stand up. So
Yeah, especially at this phase. I mean, I'm
yeah.
a year and a half in, so it's
Hmm.
been, you know, it's been a fast year and a half, but like, you
Yeah.
know, it's I still am acknowledging there's a lot I don't know. You know. Mhm. Bless
Yeah, totally.
you.
Yeah, it, but then you're gonna look back in 5 years and be like, wow, I've learned a lot, you know, or even a
Mhm.
year, you know. We have people who, we have a member who is from North Carolina and not near one of the big cities. And she came to us and she said, and she's retired actually. She's a young grandmother. She's like 50. She's retired.
Oh,
She was a high school art teacher. And she likes to say, I was a high school art teacher for 8 years, 6 months, 4 weeks, 3 days, and 2 hours. Did not love that job. And she came to us, and the way she tells it is that she was like, I knew I was funny, but there weren't classes or clubs near me, and I didn't know, and I knew that I just needed to know how to do the thing. You know, I didn't know how to structure a joke, I didn't know how to build a set. um I just knew I was inherently funny and I could do it if someone showed me how, and if I had a community to do it in. And cut to, I just finally met her for the first time because 3 years later she just did her first solo show in New York City.
that's awesome.
And just because she like busted her ass for 3 years, working on her stand-up, both, you know, with us on Zoom, and also, you know, finding places, driving places, like, you know, like your people do, finding the places, practicing, doing it. And, you know, here she is. I mean, she was funny when she started, but yeah, you need to learn and just get in the reps.
Yeah,
And
there's
she did it.
a lot more structure than people realize, I think.
Right.
Yeah. So like for your classes, because this is a very interesting thing. For your classes, what if somebody comes to you? Like what's like I guess if you want to walk through it, like what's like the enrollment process like? And then
Sure.
once they're in there, you know, what is like class one like versus like maybe somebody that's been with you for a couple of years?
Great question. So we're a little different from everyone else. Actually, we're a lot different from everyone else. But because of the way we're structured. The way it works is that in most cases, the basic setup is that you pay by the year. You don't pay by the class. So once you join what we call the Gold Comedy Club, then you're in. And then you have access to unlimited of unlimited access to all the classes that we provide in the club, to online open mics every Mondays, to celebrity Q&As every Wednesday. These are almost all on Zoom. To other events and workshops, to anytime we have a paid public event, you get in free. So you pay for the year, and it's $500 a year as opposed to $400 a class. So you can see how quickly this pays for itself.
Definitely.
And we do that because, and this, I'm sure, because of how important your comedy community is. Your community comes first. Like they're the people who book you and you book them. They're the people who give you feedback. They're the people who who understand that, like, when you both succeed, that's better. And so, and we also have sketch teams. We have digital sketch teams. So they also, in some cases we create the teams. People apply and we create them. And in other cases, people meet and form them, or they meet in our classes and create solo show series that they go and do together. Three people just did that in Boston. So so that's basically it. Once you like sign up and do your free trial, and there's a 2-week free trial. So you sign up. No payment is due. You can jump into whatever class is starting that interests you, or you can wait a week or two until a class that you want to take starts, and you take the class. And we have a stand-up class that's kind of our flagship class that that a lot of people take, honestly, more than once, because we recommend that everyone take it, even if they aren't like dead set on being stand-up. And a lot of people say, all right, Lynn, I'm going to take this class, but I don't want to do stand-up. And then like a year later, they're like, I love stand-up. But we recommend that everyone take it because it's so good at giving you the like joke mechanics, joke structure, and also considering like not just like how to write any old joke, but how to write jokes only you could tell. So we do a lot of work on exploring like, what's my persona? Like, who am I? What's my point of view? Like, why would I tell this joke this way versus someone else take on the same topic and tell like maybe even a similar joke, but tell it completely differently because we're different people with totally different styles and points of view, We also have, and that class, you come out with basically a type 5. We have another class where you develop a type 10, because those are both, as you know, important for different reasons. But again, both of those classes people take over and over because it gives them the structure and accountability and supportive feedback to when you really just need to crank out another new set or a bunch of new jokes that supports you. We have sketch writing, advanced sketch writing. We have sketch production. We have, because you got to know how to produce. We have editing, video editing for comedians, like how to edit everything from like an actual full 3-minute sketch to social, to promoting your own stand-up on TikTok. Like literally, how do you do those cuts and make them look good and pick the best pieces and do the captions and whatnot. We have web series, how to create get ready to produce a web series. We have finish your pilot in 6 weeks. We have late night writing. So we try to hit all of the different types of comedy. And again, it's welcome, we welcome everybody. It's mostly women and non-binary folks, but we're just so nice that what really the barrier to entry is, or the lack of barrier to entry is just, we're really nice. And we want you to succeed. And the other thing that makes us different is where it's possible and appropriate, we really want you to get your stuff made. So it's like skill building, but not skill building in a vacuum, right? So that's why, we're really supportive of the three comics who did a class that we run every now and then called Comedy About Trauma. And they developed their shows. Actually, they developed our shows in 2 of our classes, which is why it makes sense that you can kind of take a bunch, like sort of a combo of classes depending on what your journey is. And so we supported them in producing in like live producing their shows in Boston. And then we also have a web series that one of our sketch teams created that's now streaming on Fox Soul, which is one of Fox's streaming channels. So, and we have another web series that came out of one of our classes called Ratzar that's also, you can watch the whole, we fully supported them in producing it. And it's, and their crew was mostly members of Gold, because that's, I mean, we have this big network of people who know how to not just tell jokes, but who know how to like PA, DP, do sound, do light. And so the whole series is online now, and they're like winning festivals, winning awards for the whole series, and looking for more distribution. So we're really serious about that stuff. So I think that also makes us different. We're getting even more into the production piece of things, not as a production studio ourselves, but as a source of content that we can support the production of. Like someone who developed a solo show, we decided that we want to produce her solo show. So I just got a call about that right now. So and the last thing I'll say is that Nick is a little bit different, and part of the sort of what's it like question that you asked is we also have a class. It's a premium class, so it lives outside the normal club structure. But so it's priced a little bit different. It's just a little bit different, but it is called Develop and Pitch Any Idea. And it's taught by Ryan Cunningham, who, no big deal, produced Broad City and Search Party and Inside Amy Schumer. And she also does film and stage, like solo shows. And she, like, there are a lot of good pitch classes out there, but what Ryan does is really help you. Like, you can show up with like literally just the germ of an idea. You know, like I know people who have showed up with ideas like, you know, my entire family are dentists, and I feel like there's a sitcom in there, you know, or things as small as that. And then Ryan has a real rigorous framework that she walks you through, so that at the end of 12 weeks, you've developed the idea to the point where you have a polished, practiced, industry standard pitch that you could take to Netflix or a fast channel, or just create a proof of concept, or be ready to write your pilot, or and these are people who the only qualification for that class is like dedication. Like, you don't have to have a background in TV. You don't have to have a pilot already written. The people who populate that class just have like an idea that might not even be great yet, but just an idea that they can't stop thinking about.
Yeah.
You know, and they can't get it out of their drawer, out of their head. Or if they do, they're like, but I don't know. I live in Rhinebeck. You know, I don't know Hollywood. You know, I don't know what I would do with this idea. So I'll write it next year, you know? And this class is like, oh no, you won't, you'll do it in 12 weeks. So, so I feel really proud of those things that really kind of don't exist. It actually literally does not exist anywhere else. And people come out of that class they create proofs of concept, they write pilots that win awards, they get shows into development, they get representation, you know, all based on what they produce in this class.
Well, you should be very proud of that. That's you know, the production stuff is like awesome. The pitch situation, I think that's wicked important, just because like you I have friends right now that are writing pilots, and they're like, you know, they really want to become. I also would like to get into more writing as like a, you know, career, but like getting from, because it's not like you're trying to get from page to stage, right? You're trying to get from page to production, and like that idea of like how to do it is maybe you know, like you always learn this, I learned this phrase in college, but practice versus procedure, right? Because like, you know, this is like, oh, Google will tell you like this is the procedure to do it. But like if you got somebody coming from the industry, like actually in practice, this is what we really do. So you should really know how to do this. And then, you know, so I really feel like having somebody from industry is like actually pretty important, you know, not just from a networking point too. It's just, you know, it's actually.
Oh yeah, no, it's because she really also tells you like, you have to really like understand and inhabit your idea in your soul and understand the characters and the B plot and the C plot and whatever it is. But then you have to tell industry about it in a way that they will understand, which is different, or
Yes.
which is its own thing, right? It's not better, it's not worse, it's just its own thing. And so that's the practice part of it, I think, that you're talking about, right? And also it's great because like you could have half a pilot written or be stuck on your pilot or not even know where to start on your pilot. And it feels weird to think that you would like write your pitch before you write your pilot. But the process of getting even to the point where you could write a pitch is the same process that gets you ready to write the pilot. You know, like, or people have a pilot, which is also fine, and then they find themselves going back and tweaking the pilot based on the kind of rigor of the class and like what it reveals to them about how they really want to develop their idea. So so I took the class and I'm writing the pilot now, and I took the class before, you know, so I can living proof.
I don't know why it made me think of this, but like when you're talking about people writing the pitch before they write the pilot, and I think a lot in terms of business. So I come from a small business background.
Yeah.
I think it's almost like having a mission statement for your business, right? Is
Yeah.
that pitch?
Yeah.
Yeah, because everything has to hold true to that mission statement, right? That's really cool. What do you care to share what the pilot or what the premise
Yeah,
is of the show?
sure, absolutely. Because this was a great opportunity for me to figure this out because um, my creative partner and I back in the day had actually the first we created really one of the first successful internet brands, creative, you know, internet creative brands. And in 1998. And I'll spare you the whole backstory, but we created a superhero character named Breakup Girl who helps all people with romantic emergencies. And you can still find her and all of the amazing graphics and cartoons and animations that Chris, my partner, did at breakupgirl.net. And we had a long tragic part of the story is tragic that has to do with the .com bust because we sold it to Oxygen, actually with a great deal. It was acquired by Oxygen, but we came on as EPs, so that was actually a great deal. But then then you know the .com bust happened, and we had to kind of fight to get the IP back. Blah blah. Years passed. Calendar pages flying off the walls. Spinning clocks. You know, the whole thing. And but it was like a death because we had really lived and breathed this character and all of the other stuff that we had created around her for years. And so every so often we kind of were like, let's have coffee and do this. And we come up with like another pilot idea or another sort of plan. And so I thought, you know what, this is perfect. I'm going to take Ryan's class myself, and I'm going to figure out, you know, how does this character look now? Who is she now? As opposed to in 1998, what's different about the vibe? What's different about the character? Obviously, something has to change, or it'll seem dated. And what are the parts that I want to keep that are indispensable, and what are the parts that that are craving an update? And what's the plot? And what's the pilot? What's the show? What does the show look like? And we wanted to do live action instead of animation, so that's a whole nother thing. So in Ryan's class, that's where I kind of reimagined the whole, you know, the new version of this idea that we've been kind of cradling for so long. And that's what got me sort of jump started to have the puzzle pieces I needed to start writing the pilot.
Okay. Out of curiosity, is it Breakup Girl from 1998 that has like the same like point of view from there, but adjusted to current times, or is it breakup girl that has lived through from
Great
98?
question.
Yeah.
Great question. No, we reinvented the character for now. Like we came up,
Okay.
it's the same concept, a superhero who helps people with romantic emergencies, but we set her now in the present. She gets her powers now. It's sort of, it's a reset. It's like a reboot, basically.
Yeah.
For reasons that we thought, I mean, but that was part of my process. Like that was the kind of questions I had to answer. Like where are we starting the story? And where is it set? We could have set it in the 90s, and then do a whole 90s vibe, or whatever it is. But but in the process of working through the idea with Ryan and also with Chris, we decided, no, you know what? It needs to feel now.
Yeah. I was just curious if there was going to be one of those scenes where it's just like, they pull out the box from under the bed and they go, they pull out the
Right.
dust.
Right. Dust
Yeah.
off the costume. Yep.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there may not be that scene, but we do still have, it is modern for now, but the vibe is still very kind of, there is a classicness element to it. Like a classic like, I don't know if you watch She-Hulk, but it's totally updated for, it takes place now, but because it's Marvel, it still has these sort of old fashioned superhero vibes, bits, pieces that are going to be there, even though it's set like literally right now.
Yeah, that's cool. I think that's wicked cool. Are you gonna take on like the dating apps and all that kind of stuff? I mean, that's got to be a huge
We
factor.
have to. We
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. How much I don't, we don't have to get into this if you don't want to, but like how much like interacting with single people, if you aren't single, I'm doing the raise my hand thing. How much interacting with single people, if you're not single now, have you been doing to like kind of get a grasp on what it's like out there, right?
That's a great question also. I mean, Chris and I have been talking about this. Chris is single, so that helps.
Good.
But he's also old like me. So we were talking, the characters are younger than we are. And we are also, I mean, some of it is timeless, right? Some of the questions that people's yearnings and deepest questions and all that are timeless. They just are. And but in terms of the language of now, the characters are younger, and we're figuring out how to, once I really get into writing, I mean, I could probably do the pilot, by myself with some with a little bit of consultation. But once we really got into like farther along in production, we would need to build a team of people that reflect the world that that it takes place in, so that it's real. It does have to be real for now. Again, a lot of it is primal, but a lot of it is right now.
Yeah, the technology is just vastly different between 98 and now.
Totally.
Especially when it comes to the dating,
Totally. But we also have goofy sort of timeless things like, the orb, because if references that are sort of eternal comic / sci-fi things that are that stuff, like the fake technology, could have been on, is the same kind of stuff that could have been on live action Batman, stop the orb from or from Doctor, the way on Doctor Who, we'll just need the interplanetary accelerator to be able to, so some of it'll be that stuff, but then some of it, but you're totally right that for it to have any heart, for part of what will give it heart is for it to resonate, for it to be accurate, in today's world. So we will have to work on that.
So we have a superhero. Do we have a supervillain?
Well, historically, in the big bad in the worlds that we have created in the past is Ex Luthor. And he I don't want to give you any, I know it's pretty good, I don't want to give you too many spoilers, but yeah, he's working out his issues basically, and there is one point where he like, and this is what I mean by old fashioned in a sort of timeless way. There is one point where he gets super mad and he just shuts off the internet. But of course, it's one of those big, like, just like one of those
Yeah.
switches that's on the wall. Like, I've shut off the internet, like,
Yeah.
and that was in the 90s. So, things like that. You can still do that joke now, like
Oh
you can
yeah.
still imagine that there's like one big switch or
Yeah.
like, I will shut off all AI, like,
Uh-huh.
so he was the big bad for one season. There was also Dumpzilla, who was the big bad for a while. I don't want to give too many spoilers, but there are a bunch of good characters like Miss Fling and the Lone Loner and um, uh, oh my God, there's so many other good ones that I can't think of now, but they all have to do with it's a world in which the superheroes all have something to do with relationships. Oh, and she has a love interest named Man Guy, who's half man, half guy.
Okay. This sounds like a really fun show.
Well, this is all like Breakup Girl 1.0 and 2.0. So that stuff you can all find at breakupgirl.net. All the comics are still there. So I'm not giving you any spoilers for the new season, mainly because I haven't written it yet. But they're super fun. They're super fun. And all the art is by the amazing Chris Kolb. He's amazing. It's amazing. So we're just thrilled to have another chance to bring her back to life.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's go back to stand up. So like we're bringing in new people. Are you finding them somewhere, or is it like how are you getting Gold Comedy out there as far as like getting the reach out? I mean, obviously you're coming on the podcast, but
Podcast,
but is there another method, or are you in the back of like an open mic at Eastville Comedy Club hitting people up?
sometimes our members do that. And our members talk us up, and we actually have a pretty cool referral program that set up so that if you join Gold and bring in a member, then you actually get money, which, because we value, if you like take the time to have the conversation with that person, then it should come back to you, because we value your time. So you get a referral fee if you bring someone in, and we are proud of that. So yeah, we definitely rely on our own members talking about us. We also just post either funny or inspirational, and by inspirational I mean, like we have a lot of cool celebrity guests, and we'll post like quotes from them that are helpful or actionable, that you can like learn from or be inspired by. And so, it's basically our content is also our marketing. And we have sketches. We just onboarded our 4th season of sketch teams. So just by, of course we do stuff on Instagram and LinkedIn and whatnot, where we say, our classes are starting, join our classes. Here's why you should do our classes. Our classes are good and you will have amazing results. But we also, so that's direct marketing, but we also, have, because we're a comedy company, when we just put funny stuff out there that we make, people enjoy it. And some of those people say, wait, I want to make something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they keep following us and they keep seeing our events or our classes. And then, eventually they say, now's the time.
That's awesome. Do you have, and you don't have to say any names, but do you have a success story or like a favorite that's gone through the school that you think of, still keep in touch with, still comes?
Well, people tend to stick around for, 2 or more years because of the way we're set up, so the first person I mentioned was Rocky, the one who, started out just knowing she's funny and now, has her solo show on the road, and that we're, we were supporting her with. She's one. I mean, all the people who have created shows through Ryan's class, and those shows are in various stages of development, for sure. We also brag that we have, the people who do our Q&As, and in some cases serve as mentors, are pretty cool. Rachel Dratch is an advisor, and we've gotten to chit chat with what's now the entire cast of Somebody Somewhere. Bridget and Murray Hill and Jeff Hiller have all come to chat with us, and just on our private, members only Zoom. So giving you FOMO right there. But we really, we do. There, there's Rocky. There's the three comics who took their sort of triple header shows, solo shows to Boston, and kind of created their own micro festival with that. And then they did the same. They brought them to New York, and now they're figuring out where to tour them next. There's Lindsay, who actually Lindsay and Maggie, who developed pitches in Ryan's class, and then went on to be two out of the three finalists at a pitch competition at a content festival. Like, it was 2 out of 3 of the winners had just come from Ryan's class. Like, that's crazy.
Awesome.
And now they both have different pilots in development with Ryan. So, and then there's someone else who did Ryan's class. And a lot of these people like are comics, but a lot of them aren't. Like, a lot of them, as I said, are just people who are like, I got an idea, I got a dream, I got an empty nest, watch out. There's a woman named Billy who has done stand-up, but also like works in public health, and developed a pilot called Batshit Debbie, which I think is the best title ever. And loosely based on her struggles with ADHD, and she's got a representation for that up in Canada. She has an actor. She has a well-known Canadian comic attached. And this all came out of stuff that we've done that they, might have figured out how to do elsewhere, but because we're so welcoming to kind of people who often are, for sure, people in their 20s or just out of college, whatever, who are like, I'm going to make a go of this comedy thing. And we are there for them. But then we also have this like other interesting group of people who are like, I've been wanting to do this my entire life, and now I have more time. Now I have more energy. Now I can't sleep at night because I have this idea in my head, or, whatever it is. And we take them just as seriously. So those are some of the success stories.
That's really cool. I honestly, because like I started comedy, like I said, 1.5 years ago. I was 34 when I did that, or so like it felt like I started so late. Because like when I'm going to an open mic, there's most of the comedians, I mean, I think the average age is like 24, 25, and there's like, a 21-year-old comic that's like the funniest person in the room. And it's like, oh man, like what helped me a lot was that there was a comic, Alex Collar, and he is in his 40s, and he's like, I started when I was 38, and I'm like, oh, okay. And like when I see him now, not knowing him before, when he started, I'm just like, wow, Alex is amazing, and he's crushing it right now. And it's like one of those things of like, okay, this is cool. So I think it's cool that you kind of provide a community of like people that especially because like and I could be wrong, but I do feel like generations prior to mine grew up with maybe a more like life and your career have to be practical and especially if you come from a small town, everything needs to make sense. Everything, like it's, unless you were born near Hollywood or like near the city, like something like creating a show or becoming a successful stand-up comedian just seemed like it was so far away and impossible unless you were there, because you don't get to see how it's made. And like I think it's really cool that you're making something, or you have a program, or a place where people can come together and even if they're from that generation, it seems a lot more possible, and
Totally.
yeah, I think that's very important.
Yeah, totally. I know lots of people, all types of people who have started later. Absolutely. Like, it's totally doable. And it's just nice to be able to give them the most sort of comfortable, friendly place to do that, where they don't stick out as much,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I did. I went to community college right out of high school, and I was I think 18 or 19 at the time, and I just remember like kind of like looking around the class and then seeing somebody in their 40s or 50s in the classroom. That's the beautiful thing about community college,
Yeah,
and like being in my mid 30s now, I'm like, wow, their perspective must be like these are children, like I'm here for work.
totally,
Yeah. Um,
totally, totally.
yeah. Yeah. I do want to touch on something that I think is kind of interesting. You said earlier in the conversation, like comedy is a lot better now from like a female perspective. Do you have like any like opinions on that, or if do you care to elaborate? Because you know, obviously, like I come from a gym background. Like I worked in fitness before this. So like um, even when I was newer to the wellness clubs and stuff like that, there were like very few females in the gym then, and women had like their own health club, like Bally's or whatever, and that was like they were separate. And now it's very co-ed. Which is awesome, but even just like women in the fitness industry, it's exploded a lot, and I can imagine like because when I'm at an open mic or when I'm around some other comics, like even when I talk to older male comics, the conversation is not necessarily it wouldn't be the most comfortable for a female to be in the room. I can't
Yeah,
imagine.
yeah,
So like, and that's like last week. So I'm
yeah, yeah.
curious what it was like back then and what you're seeing now, you know?
I mean, it's really true that two sort of conflicting things are true at the same time. One is that it is so crazy much better than it used to be, and the other is that wow, we have a long way to go.
Hmm.
And what I mean by better than it used to be is, we were all so used to being the only woman on the lineup or being told that no, they couldn't book us because they already had a woman, or the MCs. And I will call out Jeff Ross for doing this, who specifically did this when I was the only woman on a lineup on a random show. And he wasn't and in fairness to Jeff Ross, it happened to be Jeff Ross, but it could have been so many other people. He didn't, as an MC does, he didn't ask. I went up to tell him, he didn't come and ask me what he wanted me to say. I saw him asking the other dudes. He didn't ask me what I wanted him to say about me. So I had to go up to him and be like, okay, so you can say, I write for Glamour and I work at Oxygen, whatever it was. And he goes, okay. And then when it was my time to come up, he said, oh yeah, now we have some girl. I think she works at Lifetime. Anyway, let's bring her up.
Mm.
And I could be mad at sexism for that, but I could also say, Jeff Ross, you're not good at your job. Like that's just being a shitty MC right there, And
Yeah.
so I wasn't, so it was just like that kind of thing over and over where you had to, I'm like, your job is to make the audience excited for every comic. Like, what else are you doing? What are you doing? And uh, but like, I'm not like stuff like that still kind of happens, where, speaking in particular of stand up, I was talking to someone who was just on the road with two dudes, really nice guys. They all did great. And all three of them, they all had like a drink ticket, and they all went up to get, to like turn in their drink ticket after the show and get their, vodka tonic, whatever it was. And so without even like asking for their ticket, the bartender said to the first two dudes, what do you have? Whatever. And then to the woman, they said same thing and then said that'll be 10.50, and she was like, I was just, and
I
so
assume she
just this
wasn't a
still
comic.
right, and just like obviously I don't look like a comic because obviously you think only dudes are comics. Like what, I was just there and you were in the club and obviously you were doing your job as a bartender, but I was just there, and so the day that and these are not like that, like none of these is like the world's biggest outrage, but the thing is it happens over and over and over, and just like being called like a woman comic instead of just a comic, um continues, and sometimes it makes a difference. I mean, sometimes it matters, like you're actually making a point, like you need to say that to describe somebody. I get it.
Mm.
But like the day that we stop calling men comics and women comics female comics or comedians is the day that we're not treated as like the women's auxiliary, like the other kind of
Mm.
comic. Like men are the real comics, and then there's also the ladies, you know. So and that still happens. And yeah, I talked to someone the other day who said that she was they asked her to move her spot in the lineup because there was another woman and they didn't want to put up the two women at the same time. Literally, has any booker ever said, I don't want to put up two dudes at the same, like back to back?
Right.
Said no
Yeah.
one ever, right? So again, each one is not particularly the biggest outrage, but it's constant and it's exhausting. And then in worst case scenarios, it still does happen that like women know which clubs not to work at, you know, for because they won't be treated well at best, you know, and that's like actually an economic workplace issue, and we don't think of it that way because comedy isn't a workplace the way we think of, like, you know, The Office or
Mhm.
you know, you know, a place where you go from 9 to 5. So we don't think of it as a workplace issue, but like if women can't work in the same place as other people because it's unpleasant at best and hostile at worst, that's actually a work issue. That's actually an economic issue, you know? So, and like stuff like that does still happen. And for all the super successful, you know, women that we love now who are, you know, breaking through all kinds of barriers, which amazing. You know, you still never, and no one can ever do the math on this really. You still never know whether it took them twice as long and they're still getting paid half as much, you know?
Mhm.
So, you know, we're not done. We're not done. But what is great is that, and this is great for everybody, is that now there are so many more platforms and places where I hope no one's allergic to cats. Here's my cat. It looks like a headless cat. Okay,
Yeah,
but
it's
there is a
currently
head. Yeah.
headless.
Um, um,
Yeah.
uh, there's so many more and this was before the pandemic also. There's so many more friendly open mics. There's so many more places and platforms where you can try out your jokes, build your brand, anything from threads, you know, to, I mean, I guess X, but you know, Instagram, TikTok, and you know, it still takes, you know, 10 years to be an overnight success, but
Mhm.
you have a lot more places to practice, get seen, find community, build your brand, build your voice, and a lot more opportunities to apply. There's a better system for applying to writers' rooms, for late night and for other type, you know, sitcom type things where they more and more, started by Samantha Bee, more and more places are doing blind submissions where they don't know if your dad went to Harvard with their dad or whatever, you know.
Mhm.
And uh so like the opportunities are changing really for like, and that helps everybody.
Yeah, I agree. Um, it's I am happy to like see that there are conversations happening with dudes at open mics where we don't speak highly of dudes based off of how they treat women at other situations, you know. And I'm like,
Love
all
to
right,
hear that.
huh?
Love to hear that.
Yeah,
You mean
yeah.
well, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, it's one of those things now where, um, you know, like, at least a few comedians in my social circle, are like, kind of just like we're friends with a lot of, you know, females, and it's just like one of those things where it's like, that's not really okay, you know, like not, like what's being said at certain times is like
Mhm.
just not being, it's not okay, and you and we're talking to each other about it just to be like, hey, well, I'm not crazy, right? This is not how we talk anymore, you know. And it's just like kind of it's cool to see, I would say, just because it's
I'm glad to hear that. It's also like not doing themselves any favors also, because like those women aren't going to be booking rooms if they're not already, and those women are not going to book those dudes, right? So it's like, you know, do you want to what are you doing here?
Yeah, from the
Do
practical
you want to grow your
standpoint,
career?
yeah, yeah, as well as a moral standpoint. It's one of those things where like I I often don't get why anybody would choose to be a dick. Now, I can understand um I can understand just being ignorant, right? And not kind of being aware of like, oh, when I do this, and then like, but if you mention something to somebody and they would like, oh, I never actually thought of it that way. Like I understand forgiveness from that point of view. But it's just like somebody that kind of
Sure.
brushes it off that's like, I don't really, who cares? Like that kind of thing. I'm just like, man, like, why would you burn a bridge? Like it,
It's burning a bridge. It's like, I mean, sure, they might do okay in comedy. They might find their crowd. That's okay. They might, but they probably are limiting their audience. And if I don't know if that translates, if what you're talking about is translates into their material. I'm assuming.
Mhm.
I don't know, but they'll find their people. It's okay, but they probably want to find as many people as they would.
Yeah,
It's like it's
100%.
just not helping them. It's just not. And yeah, and I mean, I'm making the assumption that if they're kind of jerky off stage, then I'm making, and maybe my assumption is unfair, but I'm making the assumption that their comedy may tend more toward the punching down or whatever. I don't know, but even then, like, we can talk about why punching down isn't ethical or moral, but we can also talk about why it's not that funny, because
Mhm.
it's not surprising. Like, we're here to be surprised. Like, a punchline is a surprise. We're here to be surprised. If you like, I once actually told someone who made a joke about people with dwarfism, and the joke was basically about how people with dwarfism are short. And I was like, dude, we can talk about why that's offensive, but I'm going to ask you to just like look and see how it's not a well constructed joke, because we already know what the punchline. If the setup is that is that short people are short, and the punchline is that short people are short, we don't have a joke here.
Mhm.
It's not a
Yeah.
joke. It's not. It's like,
It's
like, and I think any topic is on limits, any topic, but it's got to be a good joke.
Yeah, I think it personally, I feel like it just kind of lacks creativity, if I'm being honest.
Yeah,
Like, so
do
like
better.
I was talking to my friend Brittany about this the other day, and like I have a lot of jokes that will like and I'll write a new joke. I try to write a new joke every day, and like what happens is like I'll um cheaply and then this was the conversation essentially, like it always kind of like it's easy to make a molestation joke, like, and I'm like, I sent it and it was funny, like she thought it was funny, and then I'm like, yeah, I know, I have to figure out how to make it clean, and then the topic was talking about like making it clean and basically removing molestation as like the punchline or like the subtle joke. And the reason why is because it's just like I lean on that too much. Like I've got like maybe one set where like it's a great subtext in the set because I'm talking about the to be short about it, like my elementary school therapist is also my elementary school lunch lady. um and then like the subtext of that is that like it could have been the computer teacher and he got famous for a different reason. So I don't say the word, and then I
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of, I touch on it like a little bit, but I see how easy that is to work with, like, crowds that actually pay attention, like they get that little second joke. um but it's like so easy for me to lean on that, and it's just not that creative. So I mean, it would feel better in a new joke to not have to reference that topic, and come up with something completely different, because I do appreciate when a comedian just pitches something so wild and silly, and it doesn't have to be dirty even, like I'm
no,
trying to do more clean stuff. One, because it gets
yeah,
you more work, but two,
yeah.
it's harder. Like I like that. Yeah,
If you have to work harder, it's probably going to be a funnier joke.
I hope so. Yeah, it's tough when you're in a bar and they don't have attention
Yeah,
for like yeah, expletives really get attention in bars,
that's
unfortunately.
fair enough. Fair
Yeah,
enough. Yeah, that's
on
a
that side.
challenge.
Yeah. How are you doing on time?
I actually should start to wrap it up if that's okay with you.
That's okay. Yeah, we've about an hour on this already. So,
Mhm.
it's been. I'll do the closing thing, and then I'll say the closing thing.
Sure.
Um, uh, Likable was filmed and recorded with Radio Free Rhinecliff. Thank you to Jen Hammoud and Matthew Rosenberg, our producers, and thank you to the Epicurean, which hosts us for each and every episode. And we are it's a comedy-based podcast, so please don't take us too seriously. Thank Lynn, thank you so much for coming on here. We did not know each other before this, and we still have a lot to learn about each other. But I do appreciate you coming on and sharing Gold Comedy with everybody. I would encourage a lot of people to at least do the trial and check it out.
Oh yeah. And for Likable listeners, if you DM me or if you just tell me when you start your trial that you heard about Gold on Likable, I can hook you up with a 10% discount on whatever it is you're looking for.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go. Benefits of listening to this podcast, other than knowledge. Heck yeah.
Savings.
Yeah, savings. Yeah, thank you so much for coming on, and really, this is a really cool conversation. Especially, I cannot wait to see Breakup Girl.
Yeah, you seemed excited about that. Yeah, you can check out Breakup Girl at breakupgirl.net and Gold Comedy at goldcomedy.com, and also Instagram at Gold Comedy.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna stop recording when I can find the button. There we go. All right, stop recording.
Yeah, you got jokes and you're insightful, but are you likable? You got jokes, you're the host and are you likable?
So official. How is your day going so far?
Pretty good. Thank you. Not gonna lie, feeling some hope, feeling some momentum, feeling some energy,
With the results from yesterday?
Yes, and also because they're making a Miss Piggy movie.
Okay. Very cool. That was the Miss